This is just. Hi, and welcome to Ashburg. Stephen King. He needs absolutely no introduction from little old me. Widely regarded as the king of the horror genre. I've read him, you've read him, and if you haven't, just nod along, babe. It's okay. So like 2 years ago, he did this little rapid fire interview on The Late Show where he answered a bunch of book questions. And one of those questions was, what is your favorite horror book? And he answered, Ghost Story by Peter Straub. He said that it scared the hell out of him. So we picked it up. At this stage, we know that I'm always looking to get rocked by a book, okay? I want to be scared at all times. I am just on an endless quest to find the right book to be my final straw. So this week I read it, I vlogged it, and you guys are going to get to see how I thought this book went. All spoiler free, of course. So please enjoy. We're finally going to do it. Finally going to read the book that scared the hell out of Stephen King. He even blurbed it. He said, the terror just mounts and mounts. Awesome. I got 25 pages in, just covered the prologue, and we're about to get into the meat of this horror story. So what's a ghost story about? What is the worst thing you've ever done? Read all the Twilight books. Why do you ask? So in the sleepy town of Millburn, New York, 4 old men gather to tell one another stories. Some true, some made up, all of them frightening. A simple pastime to divert themselves from their quiet lives. Is that a simple pastime? Is coming up with the most gruesome thing you can think of to scar your friends a simple pastime? If so, I'm passing my time incorrectly. But one story is coming back to haunt them in their small town. A tale of something they did long ago. A wicked mistake. A horrifying accident. And they are about to learn that no one can bury the past forever. So, okay. Based off of that synopsis alone, they might have it coming. You know what I mean? Like, define horrible accident, define wicked mistake, because I personally am not above rooting for ghosts. I will root for the ghost. But as I was saying before, I got 25 pages in. I got through the prologue, and I can honestly say that it's already scary. It has been a long time since a book has really frightened me in my core, beyond just a cheap thrill, like something that's really gonna scare the pants off of me. That being said, because it is my goal to be scared and I want to judge this book fairly, every time I pick this book up, I set up some good atmosphere. Turn the lights down low, I put on some spooky music, I make sure that I'm by myself, or at least like I'm in the room by myself. My boyfriend's usually in the other room, kind of waiting in the wings. I'm not too embarrassed to say that I've read things that have made me bolt out the room to go like squeeze him. I need a lifeguard. Wait, you know those videos where they're trying to teach babies how to swim and they have the pool and they just like the baby inside the pool? But then of course like the swim instructor and the parents are there to make sure that they don't make a gross miscalculation. My boyfriend is the swim instructor. I'm the baby. I need to be brave enough to do this on my own, but in case I need a little ground support, he's there. So the truth is my nightmare count is at 1. I did have a nightmare. I relay this information with great shame and dishonor because this book hasn't even been that scary.
Yet.
But there obviously has been something about this that has really crawled underneath my skin. We did get through part 1, so we are at about the 140 page mark, and we're going to start part 2 tonight. But now that I've gotten through part 1, I can give you a better idea of what this book is about because the back is just so vague. Of course, spoiler free, because if I'm gonna have a nightmare, you're gonna have a nightmare too. Okay? So when we start the book, there are 4 elderly male best friends who call themselves the Chowder Society. We got Ricky, Sears, John, and Lewis. Last year, there was a 5th member, except he dies at a party under very suspicious circumstances. His death has rocked the lives of his friends and kind of spurs on their whole game of asking each other what's the worst thing you've ever done, which then launches into the ghost stories that follow. It is still fairly early, but we have gotten the barest glimpse of what supernatural threat might be targeting them. It's clear that we're dealing with something very malicious. Like if you throw holy water on it, it's gonna laugh at you. So I think this book just has so much potential. It's a very slow burn, slow build, very detailed account of what's happening. I can also see why Stephen King loved this book so much, because to me, his writing style and Peter Straub's writing style are so similar, especially with their shared love of world building. If you've never read Stephen King's work before, I thought more people had, but I've met so many people recently who have never touched him ever. One of the most famous characteristics of his writing is that he loves to build a setting. Like if he's going to build a town, he's going to build a town. You're going to feel like you're in the town. You're going to know everybody who lives there, every street name, what the leaves look like, the backstory of characters that aren't even that relevant to the story, but that he wants to inform you of just so you feel like the town is a real place. So of course you're going to learn a lot about the main cast and their own thing going on, but you're also going to find out the flavor of cake the mailman had at his babushka's cousin's wedding when he was 7 years old. And you're gonna like it. And to some extent, this book has that same quality. This book takes place in Millburn, New York, and Straub is very concerned about fleshing out the town good and proper, which is a quality that I personally love. Because you know what's gonna scare me? If I feel like I'm actually there, experiencing everything that they're experiencing and visualizing everything that they're seeing. So like I said, a lot of potential, and I'm very excited for part 2. Kind of. So we're about halfway through part 2, and I am going to go ahead and just finish up part 2 right after we talk, but I wanted to give you guys a little reading update on how it's going so far. Hello. As always, we have a visitor. He was being such a good boy like 5 seconds ago. Yes, we're going to snuggle up on the couch and read soon. Just give me a second. If a dog could give me a middle finger. I've been listening to a spooky playlist in my headphones because I really want to set the mood, aka bring on more nightmares. We're brave. If they're going to have to fight the ghost in the book, we're going to fight them too. Ignore me. Everybody's big and bad until it's time to go to sleep. But I have been setting up my atmosphere because honestly it just contributes so much to the reading experience, and that's the most important part of all. So, the reading update. We have added quite a few more elements to the story so far. Most of them I'm going to leave out for your reading pleasure, but there are some points that I want to talk about so that we can have a complete discussion. Number 1, a very mysterious woman has come to the town. She's currently staying at the hotel. And there's something very strange, very off about her, but we don't know what yet. Most importantly, though, is that she brings up the name of the victim of whatever horrible accident or wicked deed that the elderly guys did, which has the men shaking in their boots, because I think the plan was just to commit crimes and then never talk about the crimes you committed again. But that's just the mindset of 1900s America, baby. And there have been some consequences to her arrival to the town, which have been not great for any of us. That's the one big thing. The second big thing is that the Chowder Society has invited the nephew of their deceased member to come to town. They've kind of slowly been admitting that something seriously wrong is happening to them and is bleeding out into the rest of the town, and they don't feel equipped to handle it. So their plan is to call in this nephew to kind of do the investigation on their behalf. Why, Ashley? I don't know. And neither does the nephew. The nephew doesn't know what's going on. He's a writer, a fiction writer. And one of his stories was loosely based on some maybe supernatural event that he had very few details of. But he's not a medium. He's not a priest. He's just a guy. He gets this invitation from his uncle's friends, and when he comes into the town, they're like, we have ghosts, tag, you're it. So that's the second big part of the story. We're about halfway through, and we really don't know that much more than we did at the beginning. Things have been moving, things have been happening, but It's just such a slow build. It's not that the spooky threat just hits the town all at once, you know? Like whatever ghost this is an artiste. It starts off very small, very isolated, and then over time it just grows and grows, and the combination of things slowly building over time. With Straub's writing style of like extreme attention to detail, spinning the web of Milburn, steeping you more and more in the town and making you feel as though you're a part of it yourself, that's what really drives home the feeling of dread. But we're building to something terrifying. I don't know if I'm terrified just yet. There have been instances that are eerie, for sure. But I don't know if I'm genuinely scared yet. But let's finish the rest of part 2. No, never mind what I said. The ghost is scary. I'm scared. I just finished part 2. We're about to start part 3. And we don't know what connection all of this has to whatever happened all those years ago with their wicked deed or whatever. But the ghost of the ghost story is up by like 2,000 points. The ghost has its foot on the gas. No one is safe. I don't feel safe myself. Do I regret playing the spooky music in the background while reading those last 70 pages? Abso-frickin-lutely. Like, why did you guys let me do that? The thing about this book is that the whole town is involved against its will, and you're getting so many different perspectives from so many different characters all over the town, which again, I really like because it gives the book this epic quality. We're just building and building and building. To what? I really don't know. But my best solution right now is to put a big glass dome over Milburn and contain the evil. Just lock them under and ring the little dinner bell for the ghost. All right, to be honest, I actually didn't even want to film this because I'm like truly by myself in my apartment. I will be by myself for the next like 2 hours and I'm about to read the last like 80 pages of Ghost Story and I am scared. Like I'm terrified of reading this book and what's going to happen next. And I don't even know how this happened. I don't know. It snuck up on me. And I guess I feel so immersed in the town and I feel like I'm a part of it at this point that as these horrific things are happening, just one after the other, like Straub is just stretching my nerves. And every time I get a new perspective or one of the main cast puts themselves in another situation that has the potential to be catastrophic, I just feel so freaking nervous. I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm there. And I'm not. I'm very far from New York in my cozy little apartment. In the other room, I have avocado and sourdough bread pillows. I'm not in danger here, but I feel like I am. But over time, I think that Straub has just been building and building and building, and the space and time in between other instances just keeps shrinking so that now we're at the stage where you're turning every page and there's something terrifying on that page. So that's what I'm up against. A quick spoiler-free summary of what's happened so far. At this point, we have uncovered what the Chowder Society was a part of all those years ago that leads to all of this happening now. The Chowder Society and the nephew think that they have a pretty good idea of what's happening, but that doesn't really mean anything because they're still getting bodied left and right. The feeling of hopelessness and despair is so powerful because the ghost is just having its way with them. Having its way. We have no idea how we're supposed to stop it. Like, there's been nothing to indicate that we have any way to stop any of this from continuing. I'm on edge. I'm looking at them. They're looking at me. We don't know what to do. And so we're all just here. We're just here. So we're on the last chapter of part 3, which is titled The Last of the Chowder Society, which does not bode well. I have a fresh cup of coffee because nothing says relax and stop panicking like some more caffeine. Tastes like I'm gonna pass out. I am gonna throw my spooky playlist onto the TV. I do have a light on so I can see the words, and there is a little bit of daylight in the background, but you're gonna have to excuse that because I'm not a machine. Okay, I'm just a girl. I can give you a lot, but I can't give you everything. Also, this book does take place in, I think, the 1970s, and this was published in 1979. Because we've made it 430 pages, I thought we would escape without getting one N-word with the hard R. No, which is not funny, but it makes me laugh because Stephen King is the same way, and it's so unnecessary. Like, I get that the people who say it in the book are portrayed as extremely ignorant and racist or whatever, but my man, for 430 pages, you were showing me that this character was ignorant already. You don't have to do it. I will use the context clues, babe. I think it's just been such a long time since I've read a horror book with an antagonist this evil. And what I just read, I was even expecting, but that doesn't make it any easier to read because damn. This is just. I don't even know what to do anymore. Like, what are they supposed to do? This is the most aggressive, intense, mostly just depressing ghost story that I think I've ever read. I just don't. It's like you're playing a football game and the ghost team is 14 feet tall and they've been eating Wheaties for like 6 months straight, but you drafted your team from the local middle school and yesterday they all broke their legs. That's how it's feeling right now. I think the best thing to do right now would just be to destroy Milburn and let a new town rise up from the ashes like a phoenix. Anyway, I wish them the best. I'm happy it's them and not me. I'm gonna punch the air. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm exhausted. So that was it. The nightmare count is still at 1. Don't worry, I manned up. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It was consuming, it was scary, it was creepy, it was eerie, it was all the things that I wanted it to be. After I finished it, I literally felt like I was in some kind of a daze. And I really missed being in Milburn so badly. I just got to know everything so intimately. So being ripped out of it was really jarring. It was kind of like, well, where's round 2? You know, let's keep these good vibes going. But ultimately, I just thought the book was a well-built horror book and definitely one of the best ones that I've ever read. Criticisms are light. I mean, I think my only criticism is that I wasn't fully satisfied with the explanation for the supernatural being. I was still scared of it. Don't get me wrong. And don't tell them otherwise. I also need to emphasize once again that this was an extremely slow burn of a horror story. If you're looking for some quick, dirty fun, this is not for you. But it was worth it to me. I gave it 4 stars. Fantastic. I think that's it. And yeah, thank you so much for visiting Ashburg. We were so happy to have had you, and we hope to see you again very soon. Bye!